SGC here, and we're back for Final Impression. Daredevil Season 2. Holy smokes, tons of stuff have happened. Totally changed the status quo in terms of just facing one huge villain. We have Punisher, Elektra, and the Hand. So Elektra's not really a villain per se, but it's a huge character. So we also have to juggle Penny and Foggy's growth throughout the entire series as well, and that is a lot of things to do. So overall, just some thoughts. I really enjoy the tracking shots and the scene transitions throughout this series. I feel like the whole action sequencing is amazing in a sense, but if they keep doing more tracking shots throughout the entire season, that it will lower the sort of tackiness of the long shots. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love that sequence. It was done so much better in the sense comparative to the hallway fight. The whole getting tired stuff is great and all, and just great. But the tracking shots, I feel like sometimes it's kind of an obnoxious way of saying, look what we can do. And I enjoyed it here in a sense where there was more tracking shots in not as epic scenes. Like there was one scene where Foggy enters the hospital looking for Night Nurse, and there was a tracking shot of just looking back and forth, figuring out where she is and all that stuff. And overall, I enjoyed the pacing and the layering of the character depth and growth, because you can really see them growing, and I love how they finally sprinkled out lawyer court scenes throughout the series compared to the first one. My biggest gripe with the first season was the whole fact that they were a upcoming sort of new lawyer firm, but yet you never see them in the courts, so it wasn't that realistic when the last half of the season was all gung-ho Daredevil, but you never see Matt Murdock. And so overall, this season has addressed that, the whole balancing issue of being Matt and Daredevil, how it really screws things up for Foggy and Penny. Is it Penny? Paige? I don't know. I'm horrible with names. So, action. I am still griping on the fact that concussions don't exist in a sense here. I mean, sure, you can say, I don't know, he has armor and all that, but it's just it breaks the immersion for me personally. And sometimes there's failed shooting squads, and I don't know. And the in-between hits, sometimes I really don't know what style he's fighting in. I mean, sure, it looks street fighting, but there are just sort of like some punches in terms of just the sound editing doesn't really bring forth the umph behind every hit in a sense. And I don't know. I mean, I know that they're trying to go with the crazy violence and everything, but I sort of wish that some things were taken more seriously. We have a wrench in the head and he still gets up sort of thing, and how's that work? And I don't know. The intensity is great here. I mean, I love the Punisher scene in the jail cell and just like the whackness of it and this torture scene. So there's great action, great violence, but at times, sometimes it just feels, it pulls out of the immersion. So yeah, I mean, overall this season has been great action, and I love the transition from Punisher to Elektra's story where we really understand where Punisher's coming from and the stuff that he has to deal with, and then it leads into the court stuff. So it's a very gradual transition of focus. Like first we have Matt Murdock being Daredevil and he has to juggle his lawyer work, then Punisher shows up and it's more, let's get rid of Punisher, and then Punisher gets sort of, arrested, and then lawyer stuff comes up again, Elektra comes up, and then it's a accumulation of all these problems, and I really love it. And also then we get to more of the lore, the Hand shows up, and it's just like, what's happening? And then we have ninjas, and Stick shows up, and we have more of the Hand and their hierarchy of the lore of the whole resurrections type of stuff. And for me, I think the latter half was a very balancing act of a lot of juggling acts. Well, that's a mouthful. But for me, one thing that really failed with the whole romantic relationship was the whole, like, not a three-way, but just Elektra, Daredevil, and Paige, where I don't really buy the whole I overheard you outside and now I'm not going to trust you at all and just get out of my life sort of thing. That was sort of poor sort of character development. I feel like with their relationship coming to this stage, it would have been more of their characters to really talk it out and just really confront issues and all that. And then near the end, we have Wilson Fisk coming back. I enjoyed him for what he is. People had a lot of issues with him in season 1, but I enjoyed where he was coming from. People really didn't like his line deliveries, but I enjoyed it because I feel like he's a very smart man and he really thinks about what he says, so maybe he tends to be slower than your average person. It reminds me of Einstein when people thought he was just dumb, but then he thought about a lot of things in his head before he presented it. And I feel like Fisk is sort of that as well. I enjoyed this season a lot more. There was more all around. We had gadgets, we have upgrades to armors, we had dinner fights, Wilson Fisk, Punisher, Elektra, and I enjoyed it. And I really wonder where they're going to go forward with this. Will we get a season 3 of Daredevil before the Defenders? Because we have everything to look forward to in Luke Cage in September, Iron Fist probably before summer of next year, and then Jessica Jones season 2 maybe, and then Defenders, or we have another season of Daredevil. Personally, I wouldn't mind if there's no season 3 of Daredevil where the Defenders sort of is a stand-in for season 3. So overall, I enjoyed this season. A lot of things to balance, a lot of issues to deal with, a lot of characters. Characters grow, and I really enjoy that. And 13-episode pacing was great. I didn't feel that, oh, this was a drag at times to watch. Though, I would have to say, I sort of screwed up, and I watched episode 13 thinking it was episode 12. So I was like, oh my goodness, this episode is really intense. How will episode 13 be? And then I realized, oops, I skipped episode 12. And I would say episode 12 is the weakest in its entirety. Like, there's a lot of things that didn't really need to be around. But yeah, so there, I enjoyed season 2 of Daredevil, and I don't know, if you notice how I sort of broke down these episodes, is that I actually took notes while I was watching this entire series. I don't know if that helps in terms of this final impression. If it is, leave your comments down below, and maybe I'll do it for a next Netflix binge. I think I can only do that, because if it's a weekly sort of show, I can't really do that, because it's tiring to write and remember to write, and I don't really do that. But all in all, I enjoyed it. It was a juggling act of a lot of things, and they did it well. Elektra, in a sense, I haven't read too much of her stuff, but her psychoticness is portrayed really well, but I don't know how true it is to her comic counterpart. Punisher, I sort of get that vibe, and also we have a Punisher spinoff, so he must be done really well in terms of the fandom, and people that didn't read the comics loved him enough for Netflix to go like, hey, we should have a Punisher spinoff. Elektra, from what I read, she doesn't want a spinoff. I'm totally up for that. That there won't be a spinoff. She shows up in Defenders or something, what have you. But yeah, like going back to Elektra, her psychoticness was done really well. I actually really enjoyed her acting, and it was a different foil, just different side of this world that we've been introduced to, and I really did enjoy that. So yes, I'm repeating myself again. A lot of juggling acts of this balancing issue, so that was done really well, and I didn't really have any issues. I mean, Foggy was Foggy, and I really enjoyed his growth throughout the entire season. Paige, same thing. Everyone grew. It was great. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I can't wait for what happens to Daredevil. Maybe he'll show up in a movie. Who knows? Infinity War? Maybe. Who knows? Maybe the movie in 2025? I don't know. What have you. But that is it. I enjoyed it. Go watch it if you haven't. It's paced really well. Action is great. Could be better, but I take what I get. And yeah, that is it for this final impression of Daredevil Season 2. Out!